Hey advisors. I wanted to talk about my doctoral research and my programming and how it supports the regulator's new requirements. Right now, you're being asked to level up in ways that feel heavier, more personal, and more complex. Staff Notice 31368 is basically the regulators saying, we need advisors to see clients more clearly, and we need advisors to see themselves more clearly too. My work focuses on exactly that, not from a rule book perspective, but from a human perspective. So here's how my work supports everything in the new notice. The notice says that advisors need to improve on three main areas. 1, know your client. So this is not a checkbox exercise, but a meaningful understanding of risk tolerance, risk capacity, financial circumstances, and personal realities. Number 2, know your product. You now need to know your products deeply enough to explain, compare, and not to just distribute. 3, suitability. You now have to document and show your actual decision making, the reasoning, context of why you did what you did, documented throughout the process. The regulators point out something important. Firms have policy, but advisors are struggling with the human part of it, the interpretation, the conversations, the judgment. And here's the heart of it. We don't have a forms problem. We have a people problem. Advisors don't intentionally break rules. They unintentionally misread clients. They project their own stories onto situations. They avoid emotional questions and confrontations. They fill in blanks instead of exploring them. So let's talk honestly. Advisors are struggling because they may not know what to do when a client gets emotional. They might be unsure of how to navigate conflicting client information. They may feel pressure to perform and worry about saying the wrong things. They let their own money history sneak into their advice conversation without noticing. They sometimes struggle with their identity. They often want to protect their clients, but they also sometimes want to protect themselves. These are all normal human things. But for the regulators, it's regulatory risk. Because what looks like a KYC deficiency is often an identity deficiency, a self-awareness gap, a bias blind spot, or even a confidence problem. My work is built to support exactly these underlying issues and create this shift in You see, my work examines advisors through what we call a biopsychosocial lens, which is just a fancy way of saying, let's understand the whole human behind advice. So this includes advisors' money attitudes, their beliefs around work, effort, and success, how they interpret risk, their emotional responses to client stress, their cultural and professional identities, and their developmental stage as thinkers and decision makers. You see, when advisors understand themselves, something very powerful happens. Their judgment becomes clearer, their conversations become deeper, they take in client information more accurately, they stop projecting their own fears or assumptions, and they document decisions with more intention. They also can become better at reconciling discrepancies. Now, the notice says, collect better information, make better suitability decisions. The notice says, collect better information, make better suitability decisions. My work says, here's how you actually build the capacity to do that. It's not uncommon for leaders to say, we want advisors to ask better questions. We need them to think more critically. But how do you teach that? You see, the industry already teaches products. It teaches process. It teaches regulation. But what it doesn't teach is the advisor's inner world. My work gives leadership and you, the advisors, a framework for building this self-awareness, a method for reducing suitability errors caused by bias, a language for discussing identity, emotion, and decision-making without fear. a foundation for professional development that actually shifts behavior, along with insights into why advisors may freeze, avoid, or rush through client conversations. When firms invest in this level of development, well, what improves? Quality of KYC data, the depth of client relationships. There's an improved confidence in suitability decision making. Advisors have an ability to remain regulated during client volatility, retention, performance, and trust. And all of this stuff matters. Regulators see the alignment between advisor behavior and regulatory intent. But when advisors shift from this place of focusing on selling more, struggling to understand, feeling like an imposter, being overwhelmed, the job feels heavier than it should. But after we shift mindsets, advisors will feel the work is a bit easier because there's easier decision making. There's better client engagement with deeper conversations. In reality, advisors are really focusing on the areas that they can control. You know what these shifts are? They're capacity building. It's regulatory risk reduction. They're better suitability outcomes. They're better KYC clarity. They're better client experiences. When advisors grow internally, their external work naturally strengthens. This staff notice asks advisors to raise the quality of thinking, conversation, and judgment in this profession. My work helps develop the human abilities required to make that possible. The notice tells you what you need to do. My work helps you become the person who does it. Because knowing your client isn't just a process. It's a mindset, it's a skill set, and most importantly, it's a human. When advisors understand themselves more fully, they understand their clients more accurately. And this is when everything starts to shift.